Chapter 4 is pharmacodynamics. Anytime you see the term dynamics, you can think movement or motion. Just like when you guys were in Rad 105 and 100 talking dynamic, you were talking about movement, and this is how drugs interact with the human body. The key terms for Chapter 4 are adverse effect, affinity, agonist, allergic reaction, antagonist, drug-to-drug interaction, duration of action, enzyme, half-life of elimination, mechanism of action, minimum effective concentration, onset of action, peak serum concentration, pharmacodynamics, receptor, serum concentration time profile, side effect, target organ, termination of action, therapeutic effect, therapeutic range, toxic level, and toxicity. Again, be familiar with all of the objectives for Chapter 4 as you prepare yourself to take the quiz. So, like I said, pharmacodynamics is the study of how the effects of a drug are manifested, or how they interact with the human body. This deals with not just how they interact while they're in there, but also how we get rid of them. Not every drug stays within the body forever. They have to be eliminated somehow, and its activities decreases over time. Agonist is a drug that has a specific receptor site that produces a physiologic response, usually predictable. So it stimulates or enhances the body's natural response to stimulation. We see this with epinephrine. Epinephrine is a drug that you may see if your patient goes into some sort of reaction from the contrast media. They may administer epinephrine. You may also hear epinephrine used if someone is calling a code in a patient's room or in the emergency room. So epinephrine is one of those agonists that you may see. Box 4-1 on page 45 sums up all of these key terms: affinity, efficacy, agonist, antagonist, competitive antagonist, non-competitive antagonist, and partial agonist. I would suggest that you do look over this box. It does summarize the main points in this section. On page 46, you see terms that you are familiar with, and that is half-life. You've talked about that with radiology and radiation, and now we're talking about it with biologic half-life with drugs, and that has to deal with how the concentration of the substance within the body decreases over time. It's very similar to what we know with radiation, only now we're talking about drugs in this instance. Box 4-2 talks about serum concentration time profile terms, and again they are referring to the level of the concentration of the drug within the body. So you might want to take a look at those. Another term that you might be familiar with on page 47 is LD50. LD50 is the dose at which a drug is lethal to 50% of the population. Page 48 talks about adverse effects. I do want you to know the difference between a side effect, an adverse effect, and an allergic reaction. They are different, so make sure you know the differences between them. Again, I cannot stress enough how different drugs can interact with each other, so it's very important when you are getting your patient history before you are going to inject anything or give a medication that you know what the patient is taking, and again that includes herbal substances as well, or anything over the counter. Go ahead and do the learning exercises on pages 50 through 53. Again, that will help you prepare for the quiz that is coming up on chapters 3 and 4.